Welcome everyone, this is my first video for the Great Guitar Challenge 2020. Before I started to do videos on the build itself, I decided to do a step back and do a video about the process of designing an original instrument and not so much just grabbing a kit and cutting it. So today we're going to talk about design process. The first thing to design process is this: books, internet, magazines, whatever, but it's all about research. I'm a firm believer that we cannot really have original ideas if we don't have a visual vocabulary. I mean, if your mind is empty, there's nothing for you to draw, imagination, tangibles, inspiration, whatever. So if you want to create original instruments, I must urge you to start by researching what has been done so far. We all know the basic instruments, the tails, the strats, the spalts, whatever. But there's always plenty of instruments that we haven't seen before. I like this book. This is my last book that I bought. I haven't bought a book in 3 months. I don't know what's wrong with me. But this one is all about Japanese guitars. There's one about Russian guitars that I really have my eye on, but it's 50 euros and the customs probably take another 50, and times are hard. So for example, this is one where we have all the weird Japanese instruments made in the history. It's a very cool book. If you're into these kind of things, I advise this one. This one is probably the cheapest one you can get, but it does serve its purpose. It's a history of guitars, acoustic and electric and basses and odd ones. So you have a glimpse of the evolution of the instrument. It's not like those books where you buy a book about strats and you have 300 pages of strats. So this one's probably used. You can get it for 5 euros or less, depending on when you are. This one is a very good one. It's an ode to guitars, and they have this one, the Angelico, to the, what's the guy name? Van Halen's, sorry about that, to another blues one, to the book is very, very inspirational. You have a small story about the instruments they're choosing. This is a good book. But any books do. The internet is good too, and research on guitars and research on design, architecture, cars, watch. If you're into guitars, you're probably into some other objects of design, and you can cross-reference between the two. I'm the designer by formation, so I'm always researching design. I'm always researching architecture, researching other various areas of creativity. And from there, my mind, like everyone else who does this, crosses reference and you can create original things. I also do one thing that's not very common, I think, but I like to do it. I research instruments from the past. But I research them to a deeper level. I go to the point of researching the measurements, the materials, and all the constructions, and I do them in two-dimensional in CAD drawings. I like to do this. I like to do this so I can see how the instruments were designed, and you can then have an idea of how an instrument in the 60s was designed, a cheap one and an expensive one, the classics. I mean, I try to do one of these per month. And then this also serves to reinforce your box of reference, and when you are sketching guitars, all these things play a part in your mind, and you sometimes you risk of doing a drawing that you think it's extremely original and it's just something that you've already seen. Other times it will take you will cross this one with this one and that one, and you get an original one. The secret is very simple: just draw a lot. You have to draw a lot. We sometimes get a mistake, that is, you get a piece of wood and then you try to draw a guitar on that piece of wood. You should draw a lot out of the wood, so that when you get to the wood, you know what you want. At least that's my method. So I always have I have a lot of this, but I always carry one of these with me, or at least I try. And it's just a sketchbook. It's a regular sketchbook. I sketch my mind, whatever comes to my mind. It's art ideas, t-shirt ideas, random beats, design, keychains, notes, whatever. It's just a lot about guitars. It's just sketch. After a while, it's not an effort. It's a routine, I think. This is me trying to come up with inlays ideas. I have to develop that part. So you just sketch a lot. I know that probably many of you are saying, but I cannot draw. But we can all sketch guitars. And you can do it like me. I cannot grab a pencil on a blank page and start to drawing a guitar that has good proportions, because the problem when you sketch out of proportion is that it might look very, very interesting, but then when you try to make it a guitar to the scale of a guitar, to the proportion of the guitar, your drawing ends up to be something completely different. So I encourage you to draw in proportion, in scale. And to do that, I use a very simple trick that I print these classic guitars in a piece of paper that I can then go to my notebook. This one doesn't have clean pages, but I can then go to my notebook and you just put it like this. You go, you draw. I have the pickup here. I have another pickup. I have the fretboard, and then you are free to draw whatever you want. And you know how out of proportion. If you want to put like a tail here, and that's not a good idea, because you have the proportions of a classic instrument here. So I always carry, and do not use just one. Do try to have a variety, because they do differ in the shapes, and if you use just one, your mind will be formatted to this size or this proportion. So do carry a lot of them. This is a Portuguese guitar. Even I have acoustics. I have a lot of this. I don't have them all here. To carry a lot of this and change them regularly, so that you're not always drawing over the same canvas. So each one of these is a canvas, and you can use it to draw, to try to draw different things. Right now I'm on the process of trying to draw double necks. I have one here, double neck. That's supposed to be a stormtrooper guitar. But always keep this around if you want to sketch guitars. Put them, notebooks have these pockets. You put them here. You can carry a lot of them here, and you're always good to go. You are on the field, whatever, drinking a beer, and you can start drawing guitars. It's very handy. The process to come up with guitars can be different depending on whatever you're achieving. In this example that I'm going to show you right now, it's the last guitar that I'm building. If you go to my Instagram, you have some image there and photos, and I'm starting to put out videos of the build itself. It's a guitar that I draw with a Portuguese music player, Buddha, and we exchange ideas about what he wanted and the purpose of the guitar. And then I did a mood board We agreed that those references were good, and then I started to sketch. This is actually the first sketch that I've done to that guitar, and the following ones are all by order. So I did this one, then this one, always keeping in mind the mood board and what we decided to do with the guitar. This one is one of my models, and then I did this one. This is the last sketch I did, and this is the guitar that we did. If you've seen my Instagram, you would recognize it. There's a couple, one of the places of switches is different and everything, but the overall, it's this guitar that we done. And this sketch, I believe, was made both with the Les Paul and the Telecaster proportions on the background. And from here I take it to the computer, I do a vector, and then I take it to a CAD drawing software, and I start to draw it for the final dimensions, and then I do technical drawings and cut templates on a laser cut and all that. So for the guitar that we are here today, the Great Guitar Builder Challenge, it's the one that I'm going to be build is this one. It's this guitar. Now this guitar, I can show you here one of the main reference that I've been carrying in my mind for quite a while, trying to do something in the spirit of this guitar. This is the birdfish. I don't know if you have seen it before. This is the birdfish. I hope you have seen it before. It's an iconic design by Ulrich Teufel. Sorry if I just butcher his name. He's one of my favorite luthiers, and this is just spectacular for me. Many people hate it, but the idea of the guitar, he has a bird and a fish, and then he has tone bars. You can change these tone bars for different species of wood. The pickups can slide back and forward, if I'm not mistaken. So I really love this. He's an industrial designer, I think, and this is a designer's guitar. It's really spectacular. So this is one of my, the work of Teufel is one of my ever present reference, even his new guitars. And for this one also, one of the reference was Spalt guitars. They do very, very cool instruments, and they also have one that has aluminum and wood and the frames also, also is a reference. And Di Donato guitars, he has a guitar that has a back frame of aluminum. It's also awesome. So I always have those references in my mind, and I was doing this research on this instrument. This is the MPEG scroll bass from the 60s, and I was doing research, finalizing the drawings of the instrument. I usually put this out on my shop at Etsy for those who want to build at home this kind of instruments. So I was finalizing this instrument, doing I have the technical drawings, although that, and you can see there's a direct correlation between the F holes and the F, I will call it tone bars. That's how things work. You have a reference and you do something new. Sometimes it's completely new that you cannot see the reference that created it. Sometimes you can see the reference. I'm comfortable with this one. It's not a copy by any means, and it's a reference, it's an evolution of this bass. This bass was a very, it has a kind of a cult following behind them. The construction of the bass was that you have a middle, a core, and then you have two tops. That would this was the middle. Then they routed. They do the F hole. You can see the F hole was going from the back and the front, so it's through the body. And then they glue the top, and then the pick guard. It's made to be fast and cheap to make, but it ended up in a very responsive body. So the body was very responsive acoustically, so it transmitted those vibrations to the pickups and created a unique sound. And this one, my design for this competition will be kind of that. So you have a neck through without a body, and then you have tone bars, and they will be connected with aluminium wings. I did a bridge here, so this is a traditional bridge, but I'm considering to do, I've been toying with saddle ideas, so I might try it on this one. I don't know yet, depends on time, and it will be very, very short. Yeah, so this is the design itself. How do I come up with this design? This time I did not use the sketchbook, so I was on vacations at home, I was using regular paper. So this is actually the first sketch. I did the first sketch on my mind. It stayed there for a couple of days, and then I had a moment to sit down and draw, and I drew this one, and I went to bed. And then a couple days later I draw this one and the final version. I don't know if you can see it well. This is a print. I did it on a print so that I could have the scale again of the bass right from the start, not trying to draw something and then you like the shape of it, and then you have to conform the shape to something that a musician can hold and play. So I always try to do that right from the start. This one here had a body more in the style of Di Donato constructions. I mean, there was supposed to be a complete aluminium star kind of thing here that would hold the tone bars, and then the neck through. And then the idea was a little further. I did this also with this one, but I was already toying with the idea of putting one there. And the final drawing, really, from that, they all have like 2-3 days apart from each other. So sometimes we want to come up with results immediately. So you start drawing and you think you have to come up with a design at the end of the day or the session. But that's also a mistake. You should allow for things to mature in your mind and on the paper. I always try to give it at least 72 hours before I say this is the design I want to build. So I design something and then I'll wait a period of 2-3 days until I say, yeah, let's do it. Because your mind needs time to process things. So this is the bass that hopefully I will be able to construct before the 17th of October. 17th of October, it has to be done. Just to take it a little further, after when you start to drawing a lot of guitars, not all of them, the vast majority of your drawings will not be of something you'd like to build. But every now and then you'll come up with a guitar that you would like to build, and you'll start to go to a lot of these books, and you'll start to use it to take other notes. And by the end of it, you might have like 10 books of this, and one guitar you like here, 3 on the other. So one thing I advise is that whenever you come to an end of this book, you do a review. You grab the book and you start to go through it from the first page to the last one, and whenever you see a guitar design that you want to keep in your mind, you do an archive. This is my archive of designs. This is from all the designs that I draw, this is ones that I selected to have on these books. These books are just guitars and the ones that I like. So whenever I do a guitar that I like, this is one of my next builds, I draw them here. I first in paper, and then I do the ink drawing. The paper one, you might end up losing it over time. And this is my archive for the majority of the ideas that I like. This one has to be done yet. And from there, if I have, whenever I have some spare time, I do this. This is my production files, but not all the guitars are going to be made. But I like to do this one when I still have those fresh in my mind, because it makes them faster to do. And if you, like 2-3 years ago, in the future, you want to come up to a design that you draw in the past, you have them here and you know what you were thinking, like I wanted the holes and everything, and you're not guessing. And this is also serves as an archive. So I always try to take my favorite designs to this stage. This is not one of mine, this is the MPEG base. And you can print them in bigger format. This is an A3, also of my drawings, and also research instruments outside of the instruments you want to build. I'm starting to build professionally. I've been building like for 5 years, and starting to sell them this year, electric and basses. But I also research other instruments. In this case, these are traditional Portuguese instruments. This is a viola from Sorge. This is Toeira. I really love this headstock. This is a Portuguese guitar. Do these things so that you have an idea how the instruments develop and the history of the thing that you are designing. It always helps to know the history of things, so that you can come up with something new or evolve something that was lost in the past, and you say, hey, I want to go back to this point and take it further. So this is my rather long rant about guitar design. I hope to come back to this topic further in the future, maybe really film the process of coming up or trying to come up with a design on video. But for now, it's all. Have fun and keep building.